Well, the World Bank has been found to have violated its own policies on protecting the rights of indigenous peoples. The projects that the group has been funding for several years in some of the poorest places on Earth have actually resulted in farmers and villagers losing their land and their livelihoods. The organization committed $455 billion for development projects worldwide from 2004 to 2013. About half of them have been confirmed to have led to displacement, according to investigative reports. And the number of people that were physically and economically displaced is over 3 million, mostly in China, India and Ethiopia. We talked to one activist who told us about her fight with one hydroelectric firm in Guatemala, though heavily financed by the World Bank.
In 2008, a Spanish company called Ecoenergidralia came to us to do business. They started a hydroelectric project with a construction site on one of the rivers that is sacred for the community. From that year, the Spanish company did everything it could to chase away and intimidate those who challenged their project. From the very start, the company deceived us. They told us they want the land to grow coffee. They succeeded in sending 14 people who opposed them to prison. My husband was also arrested and accused of being a terrorist. We saw how our lives changed and got destroyed by the project. Instead of giving us the development they were talking about, we lost the ability to work and live in peace. The World Bank must understand that the world has different ways of living. The development supported by the World Bank brings a lot of suffering and damage to communities. Indigenous communities have their own rules. The Human Rights Declaration exists, so it's these rights that have to prevail, not the company's interests.
The World Bank is a United Nations financial institution that gives loans to developing nations. Officially, the group states its goals as ending extreme poverty and promoting shared prosperity. We spoke to apolitical analyst from the environmental group International Rivers, Josh Clem. He says activities of the World Bank often, it's rather oblivious to its own wrongdoings.
I think we've really seen for decades that World Bank financed dams in particular have led to dramatic impacts and levels of forced displacement. And really the impoverishment of local communities and indigenous peoples. The most shocking thing is that the World Bank just doesn't know the fate of these communities that have been displaced by World Bank projects. Incentives and the culture at the institution really haven't caught up to the narrative and the rhetoric in terms of the bank presenting itself as able to really back sustainable large dams and things like that. It's my understanding that the World Bank got wind of the report that was going to be launched today. So some weeks ago, it tried to get ahead of this story by releasing some internal documentation. It's about its failings really in terms of really upholding its policies.